महिमा गा सके, नहीं शारदा शेष। गुरु देवों का देव है, गुरु प्रत्यक्ष परमेश। श्री सरस्वती को ध्यान धरू, गणपति गौरी मनाए। श्री सरस्वती को ध्यान धरू, गणपति गौरी मनाए। सकल देव रक्षा करो, शंकर करहि सहाय। एक तो को आधार, राम नाम मन भाव। एक तो को आधार, राम नाम मन भाव। ओंकार निर्गुण मान विद्यामान सरस्वती, ओंकार निर्गुण मान, ओंकार निर्गुण मान विद्यामान सरस्वती। महादेव देव मान, देवी मान लक्ष्मी। ज्ञान तो गणेश मान, वीर है हनुमान। शास्त्र में प्रमाण, वेद ग्रंथ बखान। राम तो प्रदान, हे राम तो पदार जिन दरत जहान। सब दास तो महेश मान, राम जी की पावन एक तो आधार, राम नाम मन भावले। ओंकार निर्गुण मान विद्यामान सरस्वती, ओंकार निर्गुण मान विद्यामान सरस्वती। महादेव देव मान, देवी मान लक्ष्मी। महादेव देव मान, देवी मान लक्ष्मी। ज्ञान तो गणेश मान, वीर है हनुमान। शास्त्र में प्रमाण, वेद ग्रंथ बखान। राम तो प्रदान, हे राम तो प्रदार जिन दरत जहान। सब दासो महेश मान, राम जी की पावन एक तो आधार, राम नाम मन भावे।
पवन मंद सुगंध शीतल, प्रेम मंदिर शोभितं। निकट गंगा निकट गंगा, निकट निकट गंगा। बहक निर्मल श्री बद्रीनाथ। नाथ नाथ विशंबरम। लाल देहि लालील से, हरुधलि लाल लंगूर। वज्र देह दानव दलन। जय 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 कपीसूर। बाग उजारी असुर दल मारे बाग उजारे असुर दल मारे पवन सुत बांके अंजलि पवन सुत बांके पवन सुत लाल लंगोर वीर अगवानी जपत राम रघुवीर हाहाकार मझे लंका में हाहाकार मझे लंका में उठे भय जसवीर पवन सुत बांके 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 अंजनी पवन सुत बाग उजारे असुर दल मारे बाग उजारे बाग उजारे असुर दल मारे असुर दल मारे असुर दल मारे पवन सुत बांके अंजनी पवन सुत बांके अक्षय कुमार वीर को मारे असुरन भय अधीर अक्षय कुमार वीर को मारे असुरन भय अधीर मेघ नंद जगन्नाथ पासे मेघ नंद जगन्नाथ पासे पकड़ मंगायोगी पवन सुत बांके लंका जार सिया सुधरायो लंका लंका जार सिया सुधरायो कुचले सागर तीरे लंका जार सिया सुधरायो कुचले सागर तीरे तुलसीदास कपी हर्षे तुलसीदास कपी हर्षे जय जय सिया रघुवीर पवन सुत बांके पवन सुत बांके बाग उजारे असुर दल मारे बाग उजारे बाग उजारे असुर दल मारे असुर दल मारे 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 असुर दल 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 मारे बाग उजारे असुर दल मारे असुर दल मारे असुर दल मारे पवन सुत बांके अंजनी सुत बांके लक्ष्मी झूल पवन सुत बांके बाग उचारी असुर जल मारे असुर जल मारे पवन सुत बांके पवन सुत
प्रेम से बोलिए सीतापति रामचंद्र की जय. Sitaram devotees, Shubh Swagatam, a very special welcome to you tonight to this first night of 5 nights of Gyan Yagna. Before we actually get into our devotions, we invite a member of the Mandir who will extend an official welcome to us on behalf of the Mandir before we get into our devotions.
Sitaram, officiating Pandit Rajendra Maharaj, Pujari Pandit Vasudev Maharaj, and Pandit Vinayak. Other Pandits group on stage. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of the members of the Scots Mendez Mandir to welcome each and every one of you to the first night of the 5 nights Gyan Yagna. We would also like to welcome the viewers of Sankhya TV. Over the past 2 years, the world has undergone a very difficult and challenging time, but through the grace of God, we have survived it, and in light of this, we the members of this Mandir have decided to host this Yagna to give thanks to God and ask Him for His continued blessings. We would also like to thank the sponsors for the coverage of the radio and TV broadcasts. Once again, we would like to welcome everyone. We pray that your stay here is very divine, pleasant, and a memorable one. I now pass you over to the officiating Pandit Rajendra Maharaj. Thank you.
And thank you very much for that very special welcome. And indeed, my dear friends, we're very blessed to assemble together tonight in devotions to Bhagwan, especially after we have gone through such a very difficult and testing time where we have lost so many of our people, and so many of our people have succumbed to the virus and so on. Nevertheless, as indicated, it's good that we give thanks to Bhagwan for the bountiful blessings that He has bestowed upon us, and certainly just being here at the Mandir tonight in this divine presence and surroundings. It is, my dear friends, on account of the blessings of that Supreme Paramatma, Shri Krishna Bhagwan. It is important for us to acknowledge, therefore, the numerous individuals who have been victims over the past couple of years and who have died on account of the virus. And there is no better way, that as a people we can come together in devotion to God and acknowledge this, recognize this, and of course call upon the Supreme Paramatma Krishna Bhagwan to bestow His blessings upon those, my dear friends, who would have gone before us and of course who would have succumbed to the virus. And so it is through the blessings of Bhagwan that we are here to join together in devotions. Varnanam sanghanam rasanam chandasampapi mangalanam chakartaro vande vani vinayako. Khara ho jaye, let us all stand as we join together in the Ramayana Arati. आरती की जय श्री रघुवर की दशरथ नंदन सीतावर की आरती की जय। आरती की जय श्री रघुवर की दशरथ नंदन सीतावर की आरती की जय। राम रमैया अंतरयामी मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम स्वामी। राम नमामि राम नमामि सुर मुनि रक्षक करुणा कर की आरती की जय। जगपति सुरपति दीन दयाला दुख भय भंजन हे सुख पाला। हे जगवंदित रघुबर लाला चित आनंद शिव सुंदर की आरती की जय। संग विराजे जानकी माई थारे संग में तीनों भाई। अद्भुत शोभा बरनी न जाई। विश्व विधाता प्रभु सुखवर की आरती की जय। ओम नमो नारायणाय हरि ओम नमो नारायणाय। ओम नमो नारायणाय हरि ओम नमो नारायणाय। Let us all sing together, devotees, as we receive the blessings of Bhagwan. नारायणाय हरि ओम नमो नारायणाय। हरि 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 ओम नारायण। हरि 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 ओम नारायण। ओम नमो नारायणाय हरि ओम नमो जगदम्बा देवी जगदम्बा देवी जय 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 जगदम्बा देवी जगदम्बा देवी जगदम्बा देवी जय 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 जगदम्बा देवी जगदम्बा देवी जगदम्बा देवी जय 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 जगदम्बा देवी जगदम्बा देवी जगदम्बा देवी जय 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 जगदम्बा देवी जगदम्बा देवी जगदम्बा देवी जय 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 जगदम्बा देवी प्रेम से बोलिए श्री गजानन स्वामी की श्रीमापति महादेव की पवन सुत हनुमान की श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की उदय सा जगन्नाथ की जय बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय सियापति रामचंद्र की जय आसन लीजिए काइंडली बी सीटेड डिवोटीज Tonight we are reading from the pages of Ramcharitamanas as we begin these 5 nights of devotion on a day of dedication and worship to Hanumanji. Our Katha tonight deals with the glories of Shri Pavanputra Hanuman Swami. Let us prepare ourselves to receive the divine Charitra of Ramcharitamanas. Let us firstly join together in Dhyan, in meditation. As we focus our thoughts and energies upon that most resplendent form of Sankat Mochan Pavanputra Hanumanji. He Bajrang Bali, He Maruti Nandan Mangal Murti Hanuman Swami. Tonight as we gather together in this beautiful Yagyashalai, we do so with one common purpose, O Prabhu, and that is to render unto you our prem or bhakti, love and devotion. We pray this night, O Prabhu, that you would accept us into your divine embrace. Na say rog hare sab pira, japat nirantar hanumat bira. Those who glorify you, O Prabhu, you protect them from all adversities, difficulties, even from sickness and disease. Shelter us, safeguard us, O Prabhu, from the many dangers and difficulties that surrounds us in this world today. Hari Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Saraswatyai Namaha Shri Guru Charan Kamale Bhyo Namo Namaha Om Pranamai Shirsha Devam Gauri Putram Vinayakam Bhaktvasam Smare Nityam Ayuhukam अर्थ सिद्धये। विद्यारंभे विवाहे च प्रवेशे निर्गमे तथा संग्रामे संकटे चैव विघ्नतस्य न जायते। ओम श्वेत परमासनं देवीं श्वेत पुष्पोपाशोभितिं श्वेतं वरधरं नित्यं श्वेत गन्धनूलेपनम् ध्यानमूलं गुरुर्मूर्ति पूजमूलं गुरुर्परम् मंत्रमूलं गुरुर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरुर्परम् अध्यांतरहिते देवी आदिशक्ति महेश्वरी योगजय योग संभूते महालक्ष्मी नमस्तुते। नागेन्द्रहाराय त्रिलोचनाय भस्मांगरागाय महेश्वराय नित्याय शुद्धाय दिगंबराय तस्मै नकाराय नमः शिवाय। मनुजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये। नीलाम्भुजं श्यामलकोमलाङ्गं सीतासमारूपतिवामभाग्यं पाणुमहासायकचारुचापं नमामि रामं रघुवंशनाथम्। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु दुर्गारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु दयारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम। Let us begin by paying our salutations to Ganesh Bhagwan. At the feet of Lord Ganesh lies all success and auspiciousness. When we secure the blessings of Bhagwan Ganapati, we ensure successful outcomes. Not just, my dear friends, when we perform Yagna and Puja and so on, But even on a daily basis, you leave home to go to work, to go to school, whatever business transactions, whatever you seek to do. Even if it is as simple as Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, even if you do not know all the mantras, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, you invoke the blessings of Bhagwan Ganapati, my dear friends, before you embark upon any new venture. This ensures that all hurdles are removed from our pathway. Nisdin Namo Ganapati Charan, Nisdin Namo Ganapati Charan, Nisdin Namo Ganapati Charan, Ganapati Charan, Jagadukh Haran, Ganapati Charan, Jagadukh Haran, Nisdin Namo Ganapati Charan, Nisdin Namo Ganapati Charan. संताप सब मन के हरे, मंगल सदा गणपति करे। संताप सब मन के हरे, मंगल सदा गणपति करे। मन कर रहा राधा स्मरण, मन कर रहा राधा स्मरण। निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण, निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण। गणपति चरण जग दुख हरन, गणपति चरण जग दुख हरन। निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण। बल बुद्धि के तुम देवता, भर भक्ति हृदय सेवता। बल बुद्धि के तुम देवता, भर भक्ति हृदय सेवता। शंकर सुवन तारण तरन, शंकर सुवन तारण तरन। निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण, निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण। गणपति चरण जग दुख हरन, निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण। तुम्हारी कृपा दे अंत है, दोनों पे तू दयावंत है। तुम्हारी कृपा पे अंत है, दोनों पे तू दयावंत है। हम आ गए तेरी शरण, हम आ गए तेरी शरण। निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण, निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण। गणपति चरण जग दुख हरन, गणपति चरण जग दुख हरन। निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण, निस्दिन नमो गणपति चरण निस दिन नमो गणपति चरण। प्रेम से बोले श्री गजानन स्वामी की जय। When Hanuman ji had visited Bharat, this is prior to the return of Sri Ramchandra from banishment. Hanuman ji came to deliver the wonderful news to Bharat that very soon Bhagavan Sri Ramchandra is going to return from that 14 years of exile, O Bharat. You should make all necessary preparations for his return. And so Bharat was very happy, very overjoyed to receive this news. For 14 years, this, my dear friends, is what he was longing to hear. That reunification with his brother and the Lord of the universe, Bhagavan Sri Ramchandra. And so Hanumanji had delivered the news to Bharat, and as he was leaving to go, Bharat says to him, O Pavan Putra, I have one question to ask you. I have been contemplating the answer to this question for 14 years. What was that question? Does the Lord Sri Ramchandra ever call my name? Does he think of me? And Hanumanji says to him, O Bharatji, not a day goes by without that Lord calling your name and speaking of you. And in return, when Sri Ramchandra met with Bharat, after he had returned from 14 years of exile, he sat next to Bharat and he says, Bhaiya Bharat, Kapi se udina hamanai. So just as Hanumanji had spoken very highly of Bharat, in the view, in the perception of Bhagavan Sri Ramchandra that he held of Bharat, similarly, he's saying to Bharat, look at Hanumanji, Bhaiya Bharat. He is as dear to me as life itself. Bharat bhai, kapi se urina hum nahi. So how do we get Bhagavan to look upon us, my dear friends, as he looked upon Bharat and Hanumanji, as dear to him as life itself? In Navadha Bhakti Katha, when he spoke to Shivari on the 9 forms of devotion, he says to her, Shivari, if any devotee practices, cultivates all 9 forms of devotion, I look upon this individual as dear to me as life itself. You see how simple, how easy it is? My dear friends, Bhagavan has made it. Hanumanji had to go through various risks to his own life and personal safety. Bhagavan Sri Ramchandra says, simply practice Navadha Bhakti, 9 forms of devotion. And I would look upon you, I would consider you as I considered Hanumanji and Bharat. And of course we know Prathama Bhakti Santanakara Sangha. Right now we are practicing the first one, to engage in satsang. Dusari Rati Mama Katha Prasanga. We are also practicing the second one, to have love and funness for listening to Bhagwan's Katha. Guru Parapankaja Seva Tisari Bhakti Aman. The third form is devotion to the Guru. And that's just the first 3, which we commonly practice, my dear friends. So it's nothing difficult. These are simple practices which we engage in. Bharat bhai, kapi se udina hum भाई कपि से उरी न हम नाही। कपि से उरी न हम नाही। कपि से उरी न हम नाही। भरत भाई कपि से उरी न हम नाही। भरत भाई कपि से उरी न हम नाही। सौ योजन मर्याद समुद्र की। सौ योजन मर्याद समुद्र की। ये कूद गयो छन माही। सौ योजन मर्याद समुद्र की। ये कूद गयो छन माही। लंका जाई सिया सुधिलायो। लंका जाई सिया सुधिलायो। पर गर्भ नहीं मन माही। कपि से उरी न हम नाही। भरत भाई कपि से उरी न हम नाही। कपि से उरी न हम नाही। कपि से उरी न हम नाही। शक्तिबान लग्यो लक्ष्मण को। Lakshman was shot by Meghnad. He fell unconscious upon the battleground. Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra himself was distressed when he saw the condition of his brother Lakshman. Who came to his rescue? Hanumanji. By bringing back that Mool Sajivan to revive Lakshman. This is the valiant service, my dear friends, that Hanumanji rendered to Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra. शक्तिवान लग्यो लक्ष्मण को। हाहाकार भयो मन माही। धौलागिरी पर भर ले आयो। धौलागिरी पर भर ले आयो। भोरनो होने पाई। कपि से उरी न हम नाही। भरत भाई कपि से उरी न हम नाही। कपि से उरी न हम नाही। कपि से उरी न हम नाही। अहिरावण की भुजा उखारी। बैठ गयो मधमाही। अहिरावण की भुजा उखारी। Ahiravan had abducted, kidnapped Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra and Lakshman and taken them down to Patalu in the midst of that battle between Ravan and Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra. And so, my dear friends, who was called upon to go in search of Hanumanji, of Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra? None other than Hanumanji. Pachmukhi Hanuman, He took that form of Pachmukhi with the 5 faces to destroy the invincibility of Ahiravan. One person needed to extinguish 5 lamps or 5 diyas in one instant, in one go. And so Pachmukhi, my dear friends, 5 faces of Hanumanji extinguished those 5 lamps, thus destroying the invincibility of Ahiravan. And in this manner, he freed and rescued Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra and Lakshman from Patalok, who were being held as captives of Ahiravan. अहिरावन की भुजा उखारी बैठ गयो मधमाही जो भैया जो भैया जो भैया हनुमत नहीं होते जो भैया हनुमत नहीं होते मोहे तो लाखों जगमाही कपि से उड़ी न हम नाही भरत भाई कपि से उड़ी न हम नाही 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 भरत भाई कपि से उड़ी न हम कपि से उड़ी न हम कपि से उड़ी न हम नाही। प्रेम से बोले श्री पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय। Reading from Kishkinda Kand, we go to this beautiful chaupai. As Tulsidas ji describes this beautiful katha to us. आजु सभन को भक्षण करऊ सीताराम भजले सीताराम दिन बहु चले आहार दिन मरऊ राजा कबहू न मिले धर हारा सीताराम भजले सीताराम आज दीन विधि एक ही बारा राजा तर पे गधी बचन सुनिकाना सीताराम भजले अब भामरम सत्य हम जाना राजा राम कपि सब उठे गधी कथ देखी सीताराम भजले जामवंत मन सोच बिसेखी राजा राम भजले सीताराम भजले राजा राम भजले सीताराम आज सभन को भक्षण करो दिन बहु चले आहार बिन मरो कबहु न मिरय भरी धर आहारा आजु दीन विधि एक ही बार. The army of Sri Ramchandra has been divided into 4 battalions or 4 sections by Jamavant. They have been given a very important assignment to locate urgently Sita Devi. She has been abducted by Ravan and is being held as a prisoner of Ravan. But her location, her whereabouts is unknown. And so the soldiers, my dear friends, has been divided into 4 battalions and dispatched in the 4 cardinal directions, east, west, north and south. And so they proceed to search extensively the mountains and the valleys and villages and so on. But after an extensive search, they have now assembled on the seashore. All that separates them is the ocean from Lanka. They now discuss what would be their next motive, their next plan of action in locating Sita Devi. You know, if you have searched long and hard for something or someone for that matter, and you have been unsuccessful in that search, it is normal, it is natural that one would become a little bit helpless or hopeless or frustrated. And so each of the 4 battalions now reassembled on the seashore is now giving their report. We have searched in this sector, in this village, in this town, and we have not found any trace of Jagat Janani Sita Mata. And each one is now trying to put forward his point of view. And if, there are 5 people speaking, they would create a certain amount of noise. If there are 100 people speaking, they would create, of course, a louder volume, a louder decibel. And so, my dear friends, each one is speaking, each one is making their contribution, and they are disturbing Sampati. Sampati is the brother of Jatayu. And Sampati has taken his residence, my dear friends, along this isolated, desolated seashore, for he likes to be by himself. There are some people like that. They want to be peaceful and quiet, and so they keep to themselves. So Sampati was an individual like this. So high above the seashore, he is living in a mountain cave, and he hears on this particular day this chorus of voices speaking loudly, each one trying to, make a suggestion, make a plan as to what would be their next plan of action. And he gets very upset. If someone comes in front of your home and is speaking loudly and is disturbing you, you might get upset as well, isn't it? So hearing this loud commotion and seeing this array of individuals on the seashore, he decides he's going to drive them out. You cannot come to my home and disturb me. And so, my dear friends, from his mountain cave, he descends onto the seashore, shouting loudly at them to disperse and to, remove themselves from this location. But for a moment, that one individual Sampati caught the entire army off guard. For a moment, they could not tell if this was one person or several individuals who were threatening them to disperse. And so, in fact, many of the soldiers did exactly that. They began to disperse, run away from the seashore, hearing the various threats that Sampati was making against them. But Jamavant recognized Sampati. Remember, Jamavant is the senior most member of the army of Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra. He recognizes Sampati, and so he made one statement. There is none as fortunate as him who dies, who gives his life in seva to Bhagwan, in seva to Dharma, in defense of Bhagwan, in defense of Dharma. Glory be to Jatayu, for he was one who was so noble and so selfless to give up his life in service to Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra and in protection of Devi Sita Mata. Immediately, Jamavant stops, Sampati stops upon hearing what Jamavant said to him. Why? We have already said Sampati and Jatayu are brothers. And because he has lived in this isolated location for so long, my dear friends, he was unaware that his brother Jatayu had died. And so, upon hearing this, Sampati stops immediately. That aggressive, belligerent approach of Sampati was immediately transformed into one of peace and brotherhood. Bhaiya, he says to Jamavant, tell me. Whereas before, one moment, he was shouting at them aggressively, get out of here, disperse from here. Now he speaks in a calm and respectable manner. Bhaiya, my brother, tell me, how did my brother Jatayu die? This is a very important lesson, my dear friends. Jamavant countered aggression with peace. We have come to live today in a very aggressive and violent society. On a daily basis, you're going to hear so many people being shot and murdered, and so many acts of violence are taking place in our country. We have come, some of our people, to accept that violence is the norm. Here we are seeing an instance, an example, where Sampati, being very aggressive and potentially violent, has been transformed, my dear friends. That violent intent, that aggressive intent has been transformed and neutralized into one of a friend. Tell me, brother, Bhaiya, how did my brother die? You see, although our scriptures, my dear friends, this Ramayana, for instance, is more than 7,000 years old. It shows us a highly advanced way of settling our disagreements and disputes. We believe if someone shouts at us, we must shout back at them. If someone wants to fight with us, we must want to fight with them as well. Jamavant, my dear friends, is showing us how dialogue. He could have said to his soldiers, look, attack this fellow and get him out of the way. We have something to do here. We have to locate Sita Mata. We will not let this Sampati disturb us or disrupt what we are doing. But he chose, my dear friends, to avoid the route of aggression and violence. Instead, one statement. Through dialogue, let us resolve our differences. Through having a conversation, let us settle our disagreements in a peaceful and civilized and mutually acceptable manner to all parties. He says, Jatayu has died by being selfless. We have come to live in a very selfish society. When Ravan was taking Devi Sita away in the Pushpak Viman, there were many there who looked on and said, "Oh, what a wicked fellow Ravan is." Jatayu was there. He said that, but he says, "I will not allow Ravan to continue unhindered." And so he jumped into the Pushpak Viman and he fought valiantly against Ravan. And this is the problem in our society, my dear friends, when the good people simply sit by and say, "You know what? This is a disturbing situation. There's too much violence amongst us. What are we going to do?" And if that is all that we do, my dear friends, and just simply become spectators and allow the situation to continue to degenerate, my dear friends, we become as guilty as the onlookers who simply says, "Ravan is a bad man. He's a wicked fellow. Look at what he's doing." Let us be valiant as Jatayu. Not that we have to sacrifice our lives, you know. Nobody is asking anyone to sacrifice their lives, because that is precisely what Jatayu did. But when we come together, my dear friends, as a community, as individuals in a community, when we band together, that cooperation and that brotherhood that is created here develops a certain amount of strength, my dear friends, that those who would seek to infiltrate our villages and communities and so on would know that this village is united. The people of this village are aware of what is happening, and we cannot go to this village, we cannot go to these communities, for the people are alert and they look out for each other. This is precisely what Ramcharitamanas, Ramayana Katha, my dear friends, is teaching us to do. And so, Sampati, when he learned of his brother's death, first he felt sad and distressed, as anyone would do when you learn of the death of a family member. But then he felt happy. Happy to learn that his brother had died for a noble cause, by giving his life in defense of Dharma and in defense of protecting Sita Devi. And so, devotees, he says to them, "Please assist me in making Tilanjali offerings in the name of my deceased brother, Jatayu, and then I will assist you in what you are seeking." Remember what they are seeking? They are seeking the whereabouts, the location of Sita Devi. सुमिरन कर ले मेरे मना तेरी, बीती उम्र हरि नाम बिना, सुमिरन कर ले. So both Jatayu, my dear friends, and Hanumanji exemplify that lesson, that example of steadfastness in devotion to Bhagwan, even at the risk of their own lives. Both Hanumanji and Jatayu were ever willing and ready to render assistance in defense of Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra. In today's world, you and I will never be called upon to make the ultimate sacrifice as Jatayu had done. But we are called upon, my dear friends, to discharge our duties as Hindus, as bhaktas, as devotees would do. To observe and to fulfill our dharmic duties my dear friends, we will receive the same punya, the same benefit and blessings as Hanumanji and Jatayu had received, as this bhajan would highlight to us. Sumiran kar le, sumiran kar le, sumiran kar le, sumiran kar le, सुमिरन कर ले मेरे मना तेरी बीती उमर हरि नाम बिना सुमिरन कर ले मेरे मना तेरी बीती उमर हरि नाम बिना सुमिरन कर ले पंच पंख बिना हस्ति दंत बिना नारी पुरुष बिना पंच पंख बिना हस्ति दंत बिना नारी पुरुष बिना जैसे पुत्र पिता बिना हीना जैसे पुत्र पिता बिना हीना तैसे पुरुष हरि नाम बिना सुमिरन कर ले मेरे मना तेरी बीती उमर हरि नाम बिना सुमिरन कर ले गेह नैन बिना रैन चंद्र बिना मंदिर दीप बिना What is the mandir without the diya? Well, if you do not like the mandir, if you do not like the diya in the mandir is incomplete. What is the bird without feathers? Well, a bird without feathers is also incomplete. What is a smile without teeth? Hasti dantabina. But that might look funny, or some people might say it looks jokey. If someone smiles and there is no teeth, hasti dantabina. So a smile without teeth is also incomplete. Jaise putra pita binahina. What is a child without parents? That child is also incomplete. So too, a devotee without Harinam, without chanting the name of Shri Hari, then we too are incomplete, my dear friends. It is that name of Bhagwan that brings that completeness to the life of that devotee. देह नैन बिना रैन चंद्र बिना मंदिर दीप बिना देह नैन बिना रैन चंद्र बिना मंदिर दीप बिना जैसे पंडित वेद विहीना जैसे पंडित. And the bhajan also makes mention of the pandit. Jaise pandit ved vihina. What is the pandit who do not possess knowledge of the Vedas and the scriptures, my dear friends? Vedas, Puranas, Shastras, Upanishads. This is the vital knowledge that the Pandit possesses. So similarly, the Pandit who do not possess the knowledge of the Vedas, Ramayana, Bhagavad, Puran, Ganesh Puran, Shiv Puran is also incomplete. All of us, in fact, should strive to attain this knowledge that is vital for us to understand our purpose and place in this world and our relationship with God. जैसे पंडित वेद विहीना, जैसे पंडित वेद विहीना, तैसे पुरुष हरि नाम बिना सुमिरन कर ले मेरे मना तेरी बीती उम्र हरि नाम बिना सुमिरन कर ले। काम क्रोध मद लोभ निवारो, काम क्रोध मद लोभ निवारो, शोध विरोध तू संत जना, कहे नानक कहे नानक कहे नानक कहे नानक तू सुन भगवंता, कहे नानक तू सुन भगवंता, इस जग में नहीं कोई अपना, सुमिरन कर ले मेरे मना तेरी बीती उम्र हरि नाम बिना, सुमिरन कर ले मेरे मना तेरी बीती उम्र हरि नाम बिना, सुमिरन कर ले 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 मेरे मना तेरी बीती उम्र हरि नाम बिना, सुमिरन कर ले सुमिरन कर ले सुमिरन कर ले। प्रेम से बोले सीतापति रामचंद्र की जय। Let us go to this next chaupai. Sampati, with the assistance of Jamavant and others who are there, makes offerings of Tilanjali, Tarpan, in the name of his deceased brother Jatayu. Of course, it's the first time he is hearing of Jatayu's death, and so immediately he proceeds to do so. And in this next chaupai, he would give this vital information to Jamavant, to the army of Bhagavan Sri Ramchandra. That is, the whereabouts, the location of Devi Sita Mata. ब्रह्म मनुज तनुधरहि मनुज तनुधरहि तासु नारी निसि छदपति हरि। जय राम श्री राम। Let us all sing together. तासु खोजपति प्रभु दूता तासु खोजपति प्रभु दूता तिनहि मिलिते हो बतुनीता बोल जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम जिमिहाई पंथ करसी जानी चिंता करसी जानी चिंता तिनहि देखा प्रभु सीता जय राम श्री राम मुनि कह गिरा सत्य भई आजू मुनि कह गिरा सत्य भई आजू सुनि मम बचन करहु प्रभु काजू जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम त्रेता ब्रह्म मनुज तनुधरि ता सुनारी निशिचरपति हरि ता सुखोजपति इहि प्रभु दूता तिनहि मिलते होब punita. He says to Jamavant and Sugriv, Angad and other members of the army who are there, before I give you this vital information that you have been searching for, let me just tell you why Jatayu and myself as brothers parted ways. For when we were much younger, we were very close. As children, as boys, growing up together, as youths growing up together, Jatayu and myself, we were very close as brothers. But he admits, upon reflection, I was always a little bit boastful over my younger brother, Jatayu. I always tried to outdo, outperform, sometimes outsmart the younger brother, Jatayu. He says to them, I was always inclined to be abhimani, too much of pride. Your admission is very good, eh? In retrospect, now that his brother has died, he's able to speak of this and admit to Jamavant and others, where he had gone wrong in that relationship with himself and his brother, Jatayu. And so he gave a challenge. He says to them, one morning, I gave a challenge to Jatayu. Look at the sun, Jatayu, I am saying to my younger brother. Today, I am going to fly in close proximity to the sun. And Jatayu is saying to Sampati, this is a very dangerous venture. He's saying to his older brother Sampati, you should not venture into this at all. Now, in the Hindu scriptures, there has always been mention of space travel. In Hinduism, we speak of the Pushpak Viman, which is an aerial chariot. The Devatas use the Pushpak Viman to travel from lok to lok, from planet to planet. Today, of course, modern day spacecrafts are doing exactly what we read of in the Hindu scriptures. At a time before humans started to fly to the moon and fly to Mars, interplanetary and galaxy travels, people said that this was not possible. What have been documented in the Hindu scriptures, not just for 30 or 40 or 50 years, but for thousands of years. This very same Katha and many others, my dear friends, that records space travel. We have been reading of this for thousands of years now. Those who have gone before us, and we still continue reading of this Katha, my dear friends, in this modern time in which we live, where space travel is actually taking place as we speak. And so, I challenged my brother, Jatayu. He tried to reason with me, he tried to advise me that this is dangerous, but I belittled Jatayu, saying to him that he did not have the competence to do as I was doing in this adventurous escapade of space travel towards the sun. Well, everybody knows that that is a madman's idea. Traveling to the moon is one thing, but who wants to travel to the sun? Here on earth, on a very hot day when the sun is scorching hot, we feel the heat of the sun for, thousands of miles away, and we can hardly bear it here. Who in their right mind would think of traveling to the sun? But this is precisely the outrageous idea that the elder brother proposed to the younger brother. But when the younger brother was ridiculed in this manner, he says, yes, okay, let's go. Nobody likes to be told that they're incompetent or they're not good enough. So Jatayu, in an attempt to prove to his brother that he was not a coward, and he was in fact very competent as he was, they both set off in that space expedition towards the sun. When they got halfway there, Jatayu says, Bhaiya, Sampati, my better sense prevails. This is a suicide mission. I am going to turn back. And Sampati says to him, if you want to go back, you go. I have set out with a certain agenda, and I will fulfill my agenda. And he admits now to Jamavant and others who are listening to him, it was my Abhiman speaking. I myself felt the discomfort, even though we were only halfway there towards the sun. My better sense, my better judgment told me that I should have turned back with my brother Jatayu. But that Abhiman blinded me. That Abhiman was driving me forward towards danger and possibly even to my death. And my dear friends, if we are not careful, the dangers of Abhiman, there are many dangers that surrounds us, but within us, there are certain dangers as well. Anger and animosity and jealousy and so on, greed and so on. But Abhiman is there, right with the others, the other dangers, my dear friends. Abhiman makes us blind, as it blinded Sampati. It deprives us of common judgment, of good decision making, my dear friends, and recklessness, carelessness takes over as a consequence. मत कर तू अभिमान रे बंदे ज्योति तेरी शान रे मत कर तू अभिमान मत कर तू अभिमान रे बंदे ज्योति तेरी शान रे मत मत कर तू अभिमान। तेरी जैसी लाखों आए, लाखों इस माटी ने खाए। तेरी जैसी लाखों आई, लाखों इस माटी ने खाए। रहा न नाम निशान रे बंदे, मत कर तू अभिमान। मत कर तू अभिमान रे बंदे, ज्योति तेरी शान रे, मत कर तू अभिमान। झूठी माया झूठी काया, वो तेरा जो हरि गुण गाया। झूठी माया झूठी काया, वो तेरा जो हरि गुण गाया। जप ले हरि का नाम रे बंदे, मत कर तू अभिमान। मत कर तू अभिमान रे बंदे, ज्योति तेरी शान रे, मत कर तू अभिमान। माया का अंधकार निराला, बाहर उजला भीतर काला। माया का अंधकार निराला, बाहर उजला भीतर काला। इसको तू पहचान रे बंदे, मत कर तू अभिमान। मत कर तू अभिमान रे बंदे, ज्योति तेरी शान रे, मत कर तू अभिमान। मत कर तू अभिमान, मत कर तू अभिमान। In this doha, Sampati describes what happened to him, what became of him, my dear friends, as he drew nearer and nearer to the sun. देखी तुम नाही, रामा गधी दृष्टि अपार। रामा गधी दृष्टि अपार। बूढ़ भये उन्नत करते रामा, कछुक जाय तुम्हार। सियापति रामचंद्र की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, वृंदावन कृष्ण चंद्र की जय, उड़ैसा जगन्नाथ की जय, बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय, सियापति रामचंद्र की जय। शरणम। मैं देखी तुम नाही, गढ़ी ही दृष्टि अपार, बूढ़ भयेवु नट करेतिवु, कछुक सहाय तुम्हार। As I drew closer and closer to the sun, the inevitable happened. The tremendous heat from the sun scorched Sampati and his means of travel, and he fell back to earth, to Dharti Mata. He was severely injured and severely burnt about his body. In other words, you do not have to get directly to the sun to be burnt. As he got, my dear friends, within reasonable distance, this terrible tragedy was suffered by Sampati. Fortunately for him, he fell near the ashram of Chandrama Muni. This sage, Chandrama, was highly versed in Ayurvedic medicine. And when he saw the pitiful condition of Sampati, he took him into his ashram and he began to treat him with Ayurvedic medicine. There's modern medicine, if you are sick, you take tablets and so on for the headache. And then there's Ayurvedic medicine, which comes from the Ayurveda. So what's the difference? Modern medicine, if you have a headache, it treats only the symptom, which is the headache. But obviously, something is causing the headache. It does not treat the root cause of the headache, it only treats the headache. And obviously, if you continue taking those tablets over an extended period of time, after some time you find the tablets becomes ineffective against the pain, because the root cause still has not been addressed. Ayurvedic medicine, on the other hand, goes to the root cause of the headache or whatever other ailment we are being affected by, and treats with that rather than just treating the symptom. In other words, instead of just putting a plaster over the cut, Ayurvedic medicine, my dear friends, goes deeper to the root cause and tries to avoid the infection and whatever other circumstance may arise when we become ill. Chandrama Muni, and by the way, Ayurvedic medicine has now spread to the Western world. Sometimes the Westerners in Europe and North America and so on may know more about the Ayurveda and Ayurvedic medicine and its healing properties more than we as Hindus are aware of its great benefits and so on. Chandrama Muni, seeing the condition of Sampati, took him into his ashram, my dear friends, and began to treat him so that he, Sampati, was healed from all the burns and so on that he suffered on account of his indiscretion of flying towards the sun, Suryanarayana Swami. But he did say to him, Sampati, you have a debt to repay. This treatment that I have given to you, there is no cost now. But when the army of Sri Ramchandra comes in search of Sita Devi, it is you, O Sampati, who will render assistance so that they would be able to locate Sita Devi. And this is precisely what is going to happen in this chant. कपि सेन संग संहारी निशिचर राम सीत ही आनी है त्रैलोक पावन सुजसु सुर मुनि नार रारी बखानी है। जो सुनत गावत कहत समूझत परम पर नर पावई। रघुबीर पर पापन त्रिलोचन दास तुलसी गावई। जय जय श्री राम जय श्री राम जय श्री राम जय श्री राम। जय जय श्री राम जय श्री राम जय श्री राम जय श्री राम। जय श्री राम जय श्री राम। जय जय श्री राम जय श्री राम जय श्री राम जय श्री राम। जय श्री राम जय श्री राम। प्रेम से बोले सीतापति रामचंद्र की। My dear friends, Jamavant says to him, Sampati is saying to Jamavant, from my mountain cave, O Jamavant, I saw when the Pushpak Viman of Ravan sped across the ocean. On the other side of the ocean is built the city of Lanka upon the mountain Trikut. There, in the Ashoka Vatika, that is a grove of Ashoka trees, Sita Devi is being held as a prisoner of Ravan. If you would go to Lanka, certainly you would find Sita Devi. But how were they to cross the ocean, my dear friends? That Setu Band, the bridge, had not as yet been built. No Pushpak Viman was available to them to fly across the ocean. Jamavant says, I am now much advanced in age. I possess only a particle of the strength that I had in my formative, youthful years. I cannot cross this ocean. Angad was there, he says, I feel confident I can go to Lanka, but I may be unable to return from Lanka. By the way, this same Lanka that we're reading of here tonight is Sri Lanka, which is in turmoil right now. If you're following the news, international news of what is happening, the upheaval and leadership crisis and so on that is taking place there in Sri Lanka. So Angad is saying, I can go to Lanka, but I may be unable to return because I too do not possess the capability of making this trip. And so Jamavant turns to Hanumanji, O Pavan Putra, you remain quiet, yet you are the one who is most capable of making this journey to Lanka and returning very easily. And so, Hanumanji was always one who preferred to listen. He would speak less and listen more. This is why it is said, we have one mouth and two ears. Obviously, to listen more and to speak less. So Hanumanji, my dear friends, always listened to what everyone else had to say. He was a listener rather than someone who would speak too much. So there is an old saying, he who knows and knows that he knows but pretends to know that he does not know is indeed a wise man. Hanumanji fell into that category. He was all knowledgeable, but always very humble and simple and quiet. And he who does not know and knows that he does not know but pretends to know that he knows There are many like that today. Speaking a lot, but making very little sense. You know, somebody can speak for the whole day and convey very little information and very little lessons, you know. So he who knows that he does not know, but pretends to know that he knows, is indeed a foolish man. So Hanumanji, my dear friends, he knew a lot, but he always kept quiet. And when Jambavan spoke to him in this manner, he says, certainly, O Jambavan, I simply await your instructions. So how was he, Hanumanji, able to cross the ocean? We often speak and sing Ashta Siddhi Navanidhi Kedata. So he possesses Ashta Siddhi, the 8 Siddhis, or supernatural powers. The first one is Anima, the ability to reduce one's size. When he entered into Lanka, he took a minute form, as small as a mosquito. Mahima is the ability to increase one's size. When he went to get the Mool Sajivan, he took a size, a form, larger than a mountain and picked up the entire mountain and brought back the mountain to the battlefield. Gadima is the ability to increase one's weight infinitely. This is what he did when he went down to Patalok. Laghima is the ability to become lighter than the lightest. This is the siddhi he utilizes to fly across the ocean. Laghima, my dear friends, gives us the ability to nullify the effect of gravity acting upon us. For instance, all of us would be able to fly at this moment if the force of gravity was to be shut down. Gravity is the only force that is keeping us to our seats. For instance, in the moon, there is zero gravity. So in the moon, all the astronauts are floating around and flying around in the spacecraft. Laghima is that ability to nullify the effects of gravity acting upon you. The 5th siddhi is prapti, the ability to obtain anything. The 6th is prakamya, the ability to acquire anything. 7th is ishtiva, lordship over the entire creation. And the 8th siddhi is vasistava, having control over all. And that could be a dangerous thing, especially if you place that in the hands of the wrong individual. Control over people, my dear friends, is the 8th siddhi. And the 9 nidhis, which nidhis are really treasures. So there's Ashta Siddhi, supernatural powers, and there is 9 nidhis or treasures. The first is Mahapadma, which is the great lotus flower. The second is Padma, which is there's a Himalayan lake that is filled with these lotus flowers, that is called Padma. The third is the Shankh, which is, of course, what we use in puja. The fourth is the Makar, or the crocodile. The 5th is Kachap, which is the tortoise. The 6th is Mukund, which is quicksilver. The 7th is Kunda, which is jasmine. The 8th is Neel, which is sapphire. And the 9th is Kadava, or vessels that has been baked in fire. 9 siddhis. So Hanumanji is in possession of Ashta Siddhi and the Navanidhi, the 9 nidhis as well, making him a supernatural individual. And so, my dear friends, upon obtaining this request from Jambavan, Hanumanji, my dear friends, assumed a huge form and standing upon the Mahendra Parvat, Jai Shri Ram, taking the name of Bhagwan Shri Ramchandra, he leapt into the air and began his journey towards Lanka. It is said and described here in the pages of Ramcharitamanas that the force of his ascent caused the Mahendra Parvat to descend into the sea. Now we know that there are mountain ranges under the sea, under the waters of the ocean. The Mahendra Parvat, my dear friends, is one such mountain range that exists under the ocean's water. In this manner, Hanumanji was acting on this very critical mission to locate Sita Devi in Lanka and to deliver to her that ring with the name of Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra inscribed upon it. And so as Panditji would perform the final Havan, we would join together in one more bhajan glorifying Shri Hanuman Swami. Jai Bajrang Bali, Jai Bajrang Bali, Jai Bajrang Bali, Jai Bajrang Bali. ओ बोलो कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली. ओ बोलो कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली. बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली. कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली. Let us sing together, devotees. Let us clap our hands together as we receive the blessings of Hanuman Swami. कलियुग एक फल पीछा न छोड़े, पीछा न छोड़े रामा पीछा न छोड़े. पग पग पाप की घतरिया हो बजरंग बली. ओ बोलो बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली. कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली. काम क्रोध मद लोभ मिटारो, लोभ मिटारो मद लोभ मिटारो. मोह माया की बजरिया हो बजरंग बली. ओ बोलो बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली. कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली. राम नाम धन कर लू कमाई, कर लू कमाई राम कर लू कमाई. हर दो मन की तिजोरिया हो बजरंग बली. ओ बोलो बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली. कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली. कभी दिनेश तोरे चरण परत है, चरण परत तोरे चरण परत है, पहुँचे न राम की नगरिया हो बजरंग बली। ओ बोलो बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली, बजरंग बली। कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली। ओ बोलो कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली। ओ बोलो कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली। ओ बोलो कब लोगे हमारी खबरिया हो बजरंग बली। बोल पवन पुत्र हनुमान की। We want to give thanks to our drummer tonight, Ashton, who has accompanied us so wonderfully with the drumming. And of course, earlier we would have listened to Ravi Sanilal and Dean Nibal, two wonderful homegrown talent, wonderful singers. And of course, you would have listened to some excellent classical singing just prior to the commencement of our devotions. So we thank both Ravi and Dean for being here this evening and of course blessing us with those wonderful classical songs. And of course we pray that Saraswati Mata would continue to bestow upon these wonderful singers and musicians, dholakiyas and so on, her blessings so that they continue this wonderful seva, my dear friends, in the name of Sanatana Dharma. So at this point in time, khara ho jaye, let us all stand for a Ramayana Arati. आरती श्री रामायण जी की, कीरति बलि बलि कसिया की। गावत ब्रह्मा दिक मुनि नारद, वाल्मीक विज्ञान विशारद, सुख सन पादि शेष और शारद, भजनी पवन सुत कीरति की। गावत बेरा पुराण अष्ट दश, सबो शास्त्र सब ग्रंथन को रस, मुनि जन धन संतन को सरवस, सार अंश सम्मत सब नीति। सत्कारत शंभु भवानी और भक्त शंभव मुनि विज्ञानी व्यास आदि कवि तुंग बखानी तात भूसुंद करुरते कलिमलहारानी विषय रसपीति सुभग सिंगार मूर्ति युवती हरणी रोग भवमूरी यमीति तात मात सब विधि तुलसी की अयोध्यावासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम अयोध्यावासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम जय जय राम 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 बोलो राम 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 सीता राम 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 बोलो राम 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 बोल अयोध्यावासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम जय जय राम 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 बोलो राम 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 सीता राम 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 बोलो राम 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 अयोध्यावासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम जय जय राम 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 बोलो राम 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 जय जय राम 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 सीता राम 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 जय जय राम 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 सीता राम 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 जय जय राम राम राम. Let us bow our heads now in this final prayer. We give thanks to that Supreme Paramatma, Prabhu Ramchandra. With your blessings, O Prabhu, we have come together tonight and been part of this first night of devotion this 5 nights Gyan Yagna. We pray this night, O Lord, that you would place your protective hands upon us. May you continue to safeguard us and protect us against the various dangers and difficulties that we will encounter in our life's journey. We pray that you will continue to instill in our hearts that desire to continue our devotion, our bhakti to your lotus-like feet. It is in this, O Lord, that we experience true fulfillment and true joy and happiness. Again and again, we surrender to the lotus-like feet of that Supreme Paramatma. Mantrahinam kriyahinam bhaktihinam janadhanam yat pujitam maya devam paripurnam tadastu me. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva vidyadravinam tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Boliye Shri Gajanan Swami ki. Let us remind ourselves, devotees, when we chant Jai, we are chanting victory to Bhagwan. And when you chant victory to Bhagwan, it should be done with energy, with Shakti, in a louder tone of voice. So let's try that again. Boliye Shri Gajanan Swami ki. Umapati Mahadeva ki. Pavan Sutta Hanuman ki. Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki. Uresa Jagannath ki. Bolo Bhai Sab Santan ki. Collectively, even louder. Shri Satya Sanatan Dharma ki. Jai Jai Sitaram. Asan lijiye. Kindly be seated, devotees. So we'll receive your arati, panchamrit and prasad, and meals have been provided. I think a member of the Mandir is going to address us again. And of course we have
Sitaram, as we come to the end of tonight's session, we, the members of the Scots Mendez Shiv Mandir, would sincerely like to thank everyone for gracing us with your esteemed presence. A special thank you goes out to our officiating Pandit Rajendra Maharaj. Panditji, we, the members, truly appreciated your divine katha tonight. We pray that Bhagwan continue to richly bless you and your family as you all continue to fly the flag of the Sanatan Dharma. We also express thanks to the members of your group and to you devotees who attended tonight. Those who were responsible for carrying the broadcast to the listening and viewing audience of Sankhya TV, we say a heartfelt thank you. Please be reminded, after you collected your arati and prasad, delicious meals have been prepared, so do remain and partake.
It's an explosion of low prices this Christmas in Bright Ideas Christmas sale. With 25% off flowers and Christmas flowers, 25% off curtains and ornaments, 25% off Christmas balls and decorations, 25% off selected toys, plus a big 50% off chandeliers and lighting fixtures. All while stocks last. So shop early and save more this season at Bright Ideas. Located in Rio Claro, Princestown, Point Fortin, Goat City, Maribel, and Chaguanas. Bright Ideas, bringing happiness home.
Sitaram and Namaste. Pandit Neil, Pandit Vishnu Maharaj, and Dr. Suraj Ramachan cordially invites you and your family to a Mahahavan on Saturday, 17 December 2022 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Yagna Sthana in Kuladevalaya, Pitri Tirtha, located in Sri Raja Lane, Topi Trace, Avocat, Faizabad. All Pandits and Kirtan groups are specially invited. Contact Pandit Neil at 1868-317-8900 for any information. You can also view live on Sankhya television. Jai Sitaram.